All right, so anything going on lately in your
No,
life?
I've just been like hanging out, like absolutely nothing is
going
happening.
on, nothing exciting.
Nothing.
Something that you said last Sunday at the press conference really spoke to me in terms of your acting challenge was not only being in character, but it's like not being, oh my God, this is awesome all the time. So when did you find that stop, or did that stop for you? How tricky was that balance?
I think that it was really tricky, but you kind of have to sort of also let yourself enjoy the experience, right? So I feel like Rian Johnson said it in a really good way. He said it's sort of like a series of concentrated works and then sort of pinch yourself moments, and that was sort of a balance the whole time for me. I feel very much the same way. When I had to work, I was like, okay, you gotta concentrate. But then every time we would stop a take, I'd be like, oh, this is so cool. So yeah.
Okay, so I know we can't get into specifics because spoilers and everything, but I was wondering, your character story arc has been described as a hero's journey. So I was wondering, what was gratifying about what you got to play as Rose, without getting into any details, because, you know.
I love this character so much, and I think that Ryan has written a character. He already, like, on the page, it was already someone who was so rich and full of life in a way. And I think that her story is really interesting because it's sort of a character that we haven't really heard from before. I mean, I always like to say Rose is probably one of the characters that in The Force Awakens you would just see, like, running around in the background.
In the background,
you know?
Yeah.
And to have a background character sort of get pulled to the forefront of the action is really exciting and different and interesting. So.
Did you feel the responsibility of that? Because I mean, you have sort of the weight of people who have not been heard of in this galaxy, and now you're sort of shining the light on their story.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that there's a lot of, I mean, I think just being associated with something this big and so well loved already has this sort of sense of pressure with it because you just want to do it justice, right? And I think that what you said in terms of being part of a story that we haven't heard just adds another layer to that. But again, you sort of have to find a way to put that all out of your mind and just really concentrate on the work on the day. So yeah.
So the next one hasn't been written, so I'm not grasping. I'm not trying to trick you into telling me anything.
Great.
But something that Daisy said, it was something that she missed working with John, and because they were a pair. But John is your pair now.
Yeah.
Do you think what will you miss if you have to shoot scenes without Mr. Boyega in the next
so
one?
Funny. He's so fun to work with. Not only is he a great partner, but he's just hilarious. And I think that he and I sort of clicked immediately in terms of just being friends off camera, and also on camera we have this sort of like really good dynamic. So yeah, I'll miss all of that if I have to not work with him again.
So I'm a huge geek fan of, I don't know if you can tell, Mr. Johnson, besides Star Wars. So tell me what is special about him, because as an audience I know what's special about seeing his movies, but how is it special to be directed by him?
I mean, not only does he make amazing films, but he has this sort of childlike energy and excitement all the time. You can tell he just really loves what he's doing. And it never feels like you're working on a movie that is Star Wars. Like, you never feel like
Everybody mentioned indie last time.
Yeah,
so yeah,
you never feel like, oh God, we're making this huge movie. Oh, we gotta, like, you just feel like you're hanging out with your friends in someone's backyard making a movie for your parents. You know, it doesn't feel like there's any pressure, and I think that's really, really important because it allows you as an actor to sort of have this freedom to play and be vulnerable in your work. Yeah, he just was really incredible to work with, and I hope that every actor gets to work with him because he's just phenomenal.
Cool. So tell me about your relationship with Star Wars, because I heard that you hadn't really gotten into the previous one. So when did you sort of buckle down and watch them all? Have you shot this one, or was it just before you shot it?
It was before I shot the movies. Okay. I definitely didn't grow up with Star Wars. It was something that I think a lot of families pass it down through generations, and my parents were in a different country when the first films came out, so it didn't get introduced to me as a young child.
So no hate mail, please.
Yeah. Come on.
Because I know half the audience watching us went, what?
Yeah. My parents were, like, in a war. A real one.
More than justified.
So it was something that I wasn't introduced to until later on in life. But obviously you watch these movies and you can't help but respect something that has been so groundbreaking since its inception and
still now.
Yeah, and still now. And I think what's so amazing about this franchise is that it's so historic and that it will continue with all of its films to do things that are groundbreaking. And I think that this film continues with that tradition.
So in the tradition of not being tricky, I think that you have perspective, given that you're not a geeky freak fan like I am. What do you think, in the most generic way possible, will make Last Jedi special for all the ones who have been living with us since 1977?
I think that it has a very different tone. I think that it is both it's both complex and also simple in ways, and there's so much great humor in it, but there's also a lot of really emotional scenes, and every character is sort of pushed up against the biggest obstacle that they could face, which is a good thing. I think it's really interesting to see characters go through something they don't quite understand, or something that's really difficult for them to face, because what is more relatable to real life? I think a lot of times...
Facing challenges, yeah.
Yeah, in real life we're sort of, we have to address things that we might not be fully equipped to address, and that's sort of what happens in this movie with a lot of these characters.
So as a Puerto Rican, it is in my contract. I have to ask you about Mr. Del Toro. Not if you have any scenes with him, but actually just being in the room. What did you get to watch him do as an actor?
He's a legend.
We know.
Oh God, I think he is. I mean, he's incredible. But I think what people don't know about him is that he is so generous too in his advice and in his work, and just I could listen to him talk all day. He's so charismatic and funny and just a legend. I don't know how else to explain him. I can't believe that I got to watch him work. Yeah.
So with my twins, we've already gone shopping for Rose action figures. So
Did
best
you?
Best of luck to you with everything that's going to happen.
Thank you so much.